Today I have Dr. William Balanoff with me, and we're going to talk about his business in the health industry called Smile Perfected. Can you tell me a little bit about your business and what it is?
Well, we developed as a 20-minute tooth whitening system. It would be an in-office system where patients would go to their dentist, and after their teeth cleaning, they would be given the opportunity to get their teeth whitened in 20 minutes with a very easy, patient-friendly, office-friendly tooth whitening system. So that's what we developed.
Okay. What or who inspired you to come up and pursue this idea?
Well, after practicing dentistry for 30 years, the only tooth whitening opportunities out there, for the most part, was a company called Zoom. And you may have heard it. They had a lot of really successful marketing on a show called Extreme Makeovers. So every patient and every dentist started getting Zoom. The problem with Zoom was, from an office standpoint, it was very time consuming. It took maybe about 2 hours for the patient to get their teeth whitened. And because it took so much office time, the offices were forced to charge patients as much as $500 to $600 to get their teeth whitened. On the patient side, the biggest problem was how much pain they experienced after the tooth whitening experience. So what happens is the doctors and the dental offices would whiten these patients' teeth, and the experience was so terrible that patients never ever wanted to whiten their teeth again. And in fact, it would be so much pain that as time went on, the number of times that an office would actually recommend to a patient to have their teeth whitened started to diminish. So what I decided to do is to take what is and still is the number one requested dental procedure, which is teeth whitening, and take all of the bad things out of teeth whitening and try and turn it into a positive experience for both the patient and the office. So that's what we've been able to do, and we've had pretty good market penetration so far.
All right, that's great that you found a pain in the market and found the solution to it. How long did it take you to start your business?
Well, relatively quickly, in the sense that from the time that we came up with the idea until the time we actually went to market, it probably took about 6 months for product development, logo design, package design, finding the vendors to do all of this stuff. There's like a lot of logistical things that need to be found before and developed before you can actually even sell product one. So probably about 6 months.
How did you obtain the money and resources needed to start Smile Perfected?
Well, there's two different kinds of resources, of course. One is actual money, and the other one is the intellectual property that's required to do all this kind of stuff. So we'll start with the money part of it first. I invested most of the money myself, but I also got a couple of other people who were interested in partnering with me. I have a pretty good success track in business, so people thought it would be a good investment to invest with me. The other thing that was required was intellectual property, and that becomes a little bit more tricky because you have to understand what you can bring to the business and what you actually have to acquire as far as intellectual property. So the whole dental intellectual property I was able to bring to the business, but there were two other really important components that needed to be brought to the business for the way that I envisioned it. One was an operations intellectual property. So I have a friend of mine who works for me in another business who's very good at operations. So this guy named Jeff is in charge of actually the logistics of managing the inventory and managing the warehouse and deliveries and so forth. And the other person that I brought is this guy by the name of Tom, my brother-in-law's brother. And he is a computer genius. And he was the one who helped us develop the software to be able to maintain our CRM, which is customer relation management software, and also to develop an online marketing strategy so that we can actually solicit business via direct mail campaigns to actual dental offices, and then manage the software which would follow those leads and ping those leads with emails for the rest of forever.
What do you look for in an employee, and how do you
Well,
go about
the most important thing to me, and I like to think about the Southwest Airlines model. I believe that if you hire good people, you can train the job. So of course they need to have certain skills, but if you have dedicated people who are willing to sacrifice and to work really, really hard for you, for the most part, 80% of most jobs are very mundane, repeatable types of tasks. So what I look for is really wonderful, dedicated, disciplined people to come work for me, and then I think together we can usually figure out the job.
How has owning your own business affected your family?
Well, I've been self-employed forever. I've never ever worked for anybody. So I kind of like learned to manage it. When my children were younger, and even while they were in high school, what I always try to do is wake up really early in the morning to try and take care of a lot of the emails and those types of tasks. And I would go to the office earlier in the morning while they were at school because it was always important for me to try and be home in a timely fashion. So I always tried to be home by 5 o'clock or thereabouts and try to have dinner, with the family at 6 o'clock all the time. The only way I was able to manage that is by starting really early in the morning. So I would wake up typically at 5 o'clock in the morning so that I would be home and ready to eat with them at 6 o'clock. So it hasn't really impacted me that much. I think there's a lot of other people who have never been self-employed before, and I think they get into the trap of starting their business at 9 o'clock, and then they realize they have to work for 12 hours and they don't get home until 9 o'clock at night. So when you're self-employed, you work a heck of a lot harder than you would if you were working for somebody else. And if you're going to be putting in 12-hour days, which I like to consider a half day's worth of work, you have to start at 5 in the morning if you want to finish at 5 at night.
What kind of day-to-day things do you have to do?
Well, a lot of the stuff that I have to do is, it's kind of like big picture things. I mean, I have people who work for me who do, a lot of the tactical stuff. And what I mean by tactical stuff is, getting shipments out and calling up customers and doing all of those kinds of things. The bigger picture of developing a business philosophy or a business strategy are usually the kinds of things that I work on. And the other thing that I work on is I work on relationships with some of our customers, not on a dental office by dental office basis, but on a larger capacity. So, for example, the relationship that I have with a woman who is director of dental hygiene for a large group dental practice, I spend a lot of time talking to her and interacting with her because she makes the decisions for 400 offices throughout the United States. So I work on that relationship, and I have other people work on the office-to-office and day-to-day relationships.
What kind of training do you use for your employees?
Well, some of the employees it takes a lot of training when it comes to the salespeople that I have working for me. So besides them being able to have proper sales skills and understanding what the patient wants or the customer wants and try and take care of those needs, we have to train them on the software that we use for CRM, which is customer relation management, and to make sure that they're doing all that they're supposed to be doing. As far as some of the other training that we have, most of the stuff is very intuitive because it's working with different software systems. So there's not really a lot of training in that regard. There is, however, training when it comes to certain regulatory agencies, since our product is monitored through the FDA. The FDA requires certain things be taken care of, and that training could be something as simple as a fire safety class to how we dispose of certain things.
What is it that makes you feel your business is a success?
Well, there's really two things. Either a business is growing or a business is dying. So I never really know if it's ever a success. I just want my business to keep on growing. But I guess the simple answer is based on revenue. How much money are we collecting in any particular month based upon sales? So as long as that number keeps on increasing, along with the profit that should be associated with it if we're managing it properly, then I feel that we're being successful. But we're never as successful as we want to be. We can always be doing a better job.
That's true. What kind of big picture things do you have for your business? Do you want to take it to other countries or anything like that?
Yeah. We thought about taking it to other countries, and we have sold to other countries. The problem is that there's a lot of regulatory concerns in other countries. So, for example, we had one customer in Israel, and we started going through the regulatory process in Israel to sell our product there. The problem is the amount of money it would cost us to have that product approved in Israel is so expensive that the amount of business that we would actually have to create in Israel in order to cover that overhead doesn't really make sense to spend all of that money in Israel. We have sold it to some other countries as well, but there's so much business in the United States, and the United States is so hygiene and aesthetic related. Everybody really wants to look nice and have nice white teeth. That there's so much business within the United States that you can turn this into a multi-million-dollar business just in the United States and feel really wonderful about that.
Do you have any advice for anyone starting their own business?
Just know that you're going to work harder than you ever have in your entire life, and it becomes part of your soul practically having this business. So I think probably the biggest frustrating thing for most entrepreneurs is they want the people that work for them to be as dedicated as they are. And one of the things that I think is really an important thing for entrepreneurs is not to be selfish. So some of the people that work for me, even if they're not investors, are vested in the company because I will give them stock in my company as the company starts to grow based upon certain metrics to prove our success. So I'm all about sharing in the success, and I will give stock to my employees as an incentive so that they feel as vested as I do about the success of the company.
So you feel strongly about having like strong relationships with other people and getting networking and stuff like that?
Yes, if they're not working, then they don't last very long with me. But if they are working, I'm more than happy to reward them.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time, and good luck with the future decisions that you have for your business.
Thank you.